and welcome to Even Feel, the sports podcast that puts women first. I'm Eileen.
And I'm Josie, and we fully intended to do this podcast earlier this week, but the weather did not allow for that. In fact, I think, Eileen, you spent a good portion of the day taking cold weather photos.
Yes, so, the goal was to take some snowy feature photos, which, I don't want it to snow too terribly much, but enough snow so that it's a good snow feature. Well, unfortunately, when I went out, I thought it was going to be really snowy. They kept saying rush hour is going to be really rough and snowy. So I was like, all right, I'm going to get people commuting in the snow. It's going to be great. Or maybe someone sledding or shoveling. Well, unfortunately, when I went out, it was a wintry mix and more on the rain side. I got pretty, soaked by the rain, unfortunately, it wasn't like a nice snowfall. It was more,
my whole driveway is just a block of ice.
Yeah.
It was unpleasant.
Not the best for beautiful snowy feature photos. So.
Well, I'm very sorry that didn't happen. However, we're here to talk about some big news that happened, Nebraska volleyball-wise anyway. Whitney Lauenstein has left the program. Mm-hmm. She was an AVC all-region, so it's kind of a big loss for him. But
yeah.
She has a pretty good reason for why she's heading out.
Right.
I'm just going to read briefly from her Twitter post because I don't want to mess it up at all. But she said, I'm coming on here to clear the confusion and rumors that you may have heard about my status on the volleyball team. With that being said, I have thought long and hard about my decision and took the holidays with my family to clear my mind, and I've decided to step away from the volleyball team to focus on myself and be with my family and continue to heal due to the passing of my dad. So obviously that is a pretty reasonable reason to be leaving the team.
Right. Yeah. And I think everyone's going to be very understanding of that. And I think it's pretty mature of her to, know that it takes a big commitment to play, in such a competitive college volleyball team. And so, I think I think that's really, really good of her just to say hey, I need family time. I need to step away.
Yeah, I agree. It definitely looked like the Husker fan base is totally behind her, wants her to heal. I didn't see a single negative comment on there, which is just fantastic. It always is
terrible
when you see them
right.
on posts like that.
Right. Yeah, I would hope not. But again, it's Twitter. So.
But it's Twitter. I will say that even John Cook, it sounds like the team as well is behind her. In a release, he said, "We fully support Whitney and her family in making this decision and hope she will find peace and healing. There are bigger things in life than volleyball." He also continued to say she will always be a Husker. So very nice comments from him.
So definitely, obviously, it seems like she has the support of the team and the fans and her teammates.
Definitely. I will say it is a bit of a loss for them. She had a team high 28 aces this season, and that's on a Husker team that at times really struggled with serving.
Right. Yeah.
So that's kind of a big loss for them. She also led the team in points. That's not kills, but points. So
she had a big year this year, I think.
She definitely had a big year. It does seem like they potentially knew, the coaching staff knew that this was going to happen because they added Florida transfer Merritt Beeson, who plays the same position, outside hitter. But honestly, no one can doubt John Cook's recruiting ability.
Right.
They definitely have. Just returning, they have Lindsay Krause, Allie Baton-Horst, and Hayden Kubik, who are all perfectly capable.
Right, exactly. Really, really good outside hitters.
Yep, and then you have Beeson coming in, and then you also have freshman Harper Murray coming in, who just won National Gatorade Player of the Year in volleyball. She's from Michigan. She had just a massive senior season at Skyline High School there. 726 kills,
wow,
86 aces, 409 digs. So she's obviously a big get for them.
Right.
She's definitely going to help fill that gap.
Right.
But obviously we're wishing the best for
Whitney. For sure.
But perhaps in better news,
Yeah.
we have kind of a weird, coincidence?
I guess you could call it a coincidence.
So both Creighton and Nebraska women's basketball teams have top 25 matchups this week. Both are at home, and both are against teams that they have already beaten this season. But before we get into that, we need to recap the Ohio State game in particular for Nebraska. So if you want to take that away, because you were actually there.
I was there. I witnessed it. So at that point, Ohio State was number 3. Now they're number 2 in the rankings. But, it was, again, there were parts of it that were so close. Like in the third quarter, there was a point where the Nebraska was only behind by 3 points. And, the crowd was getting into it. They had a big crowd. They had a good turnout. And Sam Hybe had a great game. And I think Alexis Markowski did too. She had a little bit of trouble because the 6'4" Rebecca
Mikolasakova.
There you go. Much better.
That's my attempt.
Rebecca, she had 25 points. And she is very tall. And she was giving Alexis some trouble a lot of the game, but she wasn't only good at scoring points in the paint. She was good from she scored 3 out of 4 3-pointers for them too. So she was a big factor in their win. Mm-hmm. And then also Ohio just has really good defense. And so part of the reason that I think Nebraska ended up losing, and Sam and Alexis talked about this in the press conference, they had a very slow start. And Amy Williams admitted that as well. So I think if they had a faster start, they would have probably either won or come really close to winning that game.
Yeah. It's really hard, I think, to overcome a over 2-minute drought to start a game.
Yeah.
And I think it definitely it set him back point-wise, and time-wise.
Right,
honestly,
exactly.
Go ahead.
No, it's just kind of like they dug themselves into a hole, you know?
Yes, that's the phrase I was looking for. Could not find.
Because, their third quarter, they were coming out, but, you can only get so many runs, to catch up and then overcome. So, and you can't expect Ohio State to mess up a ton.
Or slow down.
Yeah, exactly. But, when in the third quarter, when Nebraska was getting really close, within range of them, I love watching the bench because, again, they're one of my favorite teams to photograph because the Kendall Coley and Kendall Moriarty are just always hamming it up and going nuts. So they were quite entertaining. But again, Alexis Markowski said after the game, the story goes that if we don't start well, it usually ends in a loss. And I believe you have a quote from Sam as well.
Yeah, Sam Hybe also said something really similar. She led the Huskers with 16 points in the game, but then went on to say, we played 3 quarters of really good basketball and hung with the number 3 team in the country. So it's just important for us to get off to better starts. And honestly, that is absolutely key for them going forward.
Again, because they're right there with these top teams. It's just the starts that they have to do better on, because honestly I think they're right there. They're a good team, and I think if they're just consistent. Something else I wanted to note, Sam Hybe, she had 16 points, I believe, 16. In the Ohio State game, and so I feel like she's getting back after her injury to the player she was, because again in the next game, in the Purdue game, which they won, Sam did really well as well. So
yeah, she finished with 14 points and also 3 steals. So definitely key in that game. Maybe not quite as much as Alexis Markowski in that game.
Do you want to talk about how she turned it up?
Yeah. Okay. So just a brief recap of the game, and it was at Purdue, which is worth noting because it's another road win for the Huskers. It's close first half. The Huskers lost it a little bit in the third, I guess is the best way to phrase it. And then they rallied in the fourth. And a big part of that is because Alexis Markowski scored 19 in the entire game, scored 11 in the fourth quarter.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
So she was just on fire. She's definitely, I would honestly say, the reason they won that game.
Mm-hmm.
I think you've mentioned that you really think she just was like, after the Ohio State game, she did not want to go in a post game.
Yeah, because I mean, I feel like I record her in a lot of post game pressers, and she's probably tired of explaining why they keep losing. So I kind of feel like she went in and was probably like, I am not gonna have to explain why we lost again, and she willed them to win, and she made it happen. And I think that's another thing. I'm sure the whole team is just tired of losing these really close games against really good opponents, because they're like, we're right there, we just have to finish it
and also start it.
Yeah. Start and finish.
Start it is probably key.
Yeah.
They've had some struggle behind the 3-point line as well. That's kind of up and down.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, that was just a kind of like a well put together fourth quarter effort.
Right.
Also, Maddie Kroll coming off the bench. She'd started the last 11 games. Was on the bench due to, I think
she was feeling sick or
had an illness.
Missed a practice earlier. Yeah,
an illness.
Comes
off the bench, fires off 15 points.
There you go.
So definitely another key player in that. But definitely, I think overcoming slow starts
that's the main key with them right now, I think.
Yeah, and I think that will be really important when they take on Maryland on Sunday. Maryland is ranked number 11 currently, and as we said before, the Huskers have technically already, well, not technically, they have. They did beat them.
Beat them on the road.
At Maryland.
When they were ranked, right?
Yep, they were ranked.
And Maryland is still ranked. They're number 11, I believe.
Yep, they're number 11. They opened up conference play with a win over them, honestly. So it'd be really good to beat them again.
Yeah,
but
they have their home crowd.
They have a home crowd, but I bet Maryland is really looking for revenge.
Yeah, I'm sure they are.
Another big reason they won that game was because Jazz Shelley just was incredible in that game. She finished with 29 points. She seems to have been struggling lately.
Yeah, she's been really quiet these last couple games. And, the Ohio game, she was covered pretty well on defense. Like, she really didn't they didn't give her much.
Yeah.
I'd say. And so maybe that's why other players kind of stepped up. But she didn't scored that many points in Purdue either, right?
No. So if we look at the last two games, against Purdue, she was 4 for 4 from the free throw line, excuse me. But for field goals, she was 0 for 3 and 0 for 2 from behind the arc.
And that's not usually like her, really.
No.
She's pretty consistent.
I mean, she's being defended pretty well, but I think maybe she's having trouble shaking off defenders.
Yeah.
Possibly. Against Maryland, that's going to be just crucial. Sam Hybe also
keep being consistent.
Needs to be consistently her. Alexis Markowski, Maddie Kroll, they all have to have big games. But yeah, so they're going to take on Maryland. It's super key to defend Cheyenne Seller and Diamond Miller. Their two top scorers. They were on fire against Wisconsin this week, so that will be crucial. But they are not the only that is not the only top 25 matchup this week. Gotta look at Creighton, which you are actually photographing tonight.
Yeah, I'm excited. Tonight they have a game against number 22. Do you like how I'm announcing this?
Yes.
Villanova. So last time they beat them on the road, and now they're at Sokol, home crowd again. Same with Nebraska. They get their home crowd, and this we're speculating. We don't know, but this win, if they win against Villanova, could get them back in the rankings, maybe. Possibly.
I could see it going a couple ways. One, that Creighton would come back into the rankings maybe at like 24, 25. And Villanova dropping out or being like one spot lower. I also could see it being that Villanova just drops out. And they're just receiving votes.
Fair.
All possible.
Right. But either way, Creighton is on a 3-game winning streak. So I'm feeling like they're probably feeling pretty good about this.
Probably feel pretty good coming off a win over Butler. We don't really need to talk much about that win because we kind of expected that to happen.
Right.
No offense to Butler by any means. But yeah, we definitely expected Creighton to win that, and they pretty handily did.
Right. Yeah, I mean, as long as they have a good game and they shoot like they know how to shoot, because...
Yes. Oh my goodness, yes.
Yes, let's not have a horrible flashback of the UConn game.
I have told you need to purge the UConn game from your memory. I don't know how you're going to do it.
It's very hard. It's very hard because I just have in my mind's eye just like Morgan Molly just like missing,
shooting it,
just like shooting it from the three, just rim, boom, like just falling out, and I'm like, no, please, no.
Well, yes, I believe Creighton definitely this game, not the one to have a shooting issue.
Yes.
Your shooting needs to be on point tonight.
Right.
They started off really slow against Butler. It didn't matter so much in that game. It will absolutely matter in this one.
They have to put together a whole game because, I mean, Villanova, like we said, is ranked. They're a really good team, and I'm sure, similar to Maryland, they probably are looking for some revenge.
They are. I can pretty much guarantee that they are coming to Omaha going, we absolutely need to make up for what happened.
Yeah, again. Yeah, and then Villanova has the NCAA scoring leader in Maddie Segrist, and she scores an average of 28.9 points per game. So she is quite impressive.
Yes. And they definitely need to put someone on her, but I would honestly make the argument that, like, she's going to score regardless of what you do. So you need to be defending the whole team, not just her.
Right.
Because if she scored 25 against Creighton earlier this season, if she scores 25 again, that's not going to win the game.
Right. You can't win with 25, 28 points, you know. So if she's the only one scoring, Creighton will win.
Creighton should win. That being said, you should absolutely be guarding her.
Right. Don't let her just
don't slack. They can't slack off there. They need to be on her. They need to, like, you know.
Yeah, and as long as they keep up, like I believe last podcast we talked about their communication has improved. So I think as long as they keep that up, especially with, you know, a good team like Villanova, you want to make sure you're communicating and you're on your players. So
yeah, find a good rhythm. So honestly, here's what they need to do. They need to play really good basketball. They need to shoot well. They need to defend well.
I mean, basics, right?
And they need to not start off slow. So what you would say ahead of basically every game.
I think we could give a pregame talk to both Nebraska and Creighton. Just get them ready for the game.
It would almost be the same
thing. Play good offense. Play good defense. Don't start out slow and finish the game. All right. You guys got it.
You got this. But seriously, both teams need to not start off slow.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like that's the theme.
Yeah. But yeah. Well, we should probably close this out. But we don't want to forget about high school. So we were correct. Millard South is the new number 1. Yay for Millard South. Bellevue West dropped down to number 2. And I believe you actually were at the Millard South game last night.
I was.
And watching them be pretty dominant in a win over Millard West.
Yes. So, man, I just keep photographing Millard South, but they seem to be the girls' team to beat this year because they are good. They are really good. No.
They have 3 really good players.
Yes. They have 3 really dominant and skilled players in Chloe Lemon, Maya Babbitt, and Cora Olson. Maya Babbitt had a game against Millard West. She scored. I feel like I just kept hearing her name over and over. Maya Babbitt.
It's because she scored 26 points.
26 points. Yes, she was so good. And I mean, just this season, I've like kind of known her as like a 3-point shooter. She's really good at the 3-point line, and I feel like she almost always gets all of them in. But even this game, she was doing layups, free throws, 3-pointers. She did everything. And I believe she's committed to Kent State, so
Signed with them.
that'll be a good get for them. But again, Millard West, like, they're a good team. You know, they're not a pushover team.
No, not by any means. They're a top 10 team for us. I think they are coming in at number 9.
Yeah, and again, they it was close during the half. Like, you know, they were making a game out of it. But in the third, Millard South just kind of
Pushed them around.
little bit.
For those that weren't at the game, in that quarter, Millard South scored 15 and Millard West 2.
Yes. So, yeah, that was, you know, so I believe Millard South, I mean, they had quite a few steals. They definitely are very good at stealing the ball and being pretty aggressive on defense, and something that they do that I've noticed. So, you know, maybe one of them kind of steals the ball, and then one girl just takes off running, and she's like at half court, and the other girl just like launches the ball like a quarterback, you know, football throw, just like deep end zone. Like, she just throws the ball, she goes, easy layup. Like, that happened multiple times in that game, and I saw it happen in even the Bellevue West game. So, I mean, I feel like they know what they're going to do when they steal the ball. They're like, all right, someone just goes and they launch it, which is quite entertaining to watch.
Yeah. Well, I think we should probably wrap this up. But thank you for tuning in for this week's podcast. If you're listening on omaha.com, don't forget you can find us basically anywhere where you get a podcast. So until next week, I'm Josie.
I'm Eileen.
Thanks.
Bye.